Hi everyone, I'm Will Brown and welcome to the WPQuickies series, bite-sized WordPress tips and tricks in 30 minutes or less. So today, it's a little bit more developer focused today, but I'm going to be showing you how to add WooCommerce customer and order data directly into your Stripe transactions. So the talk today, again, is a little bit developer focused, but hopefully if you're not a developer and if you're kind of just interested in doing sort of thing, hopefully you'll be able to copy and paste some of the code examples in here and just hack some of the additional details in there to get the results that you want. So thank you for joining me this sunny but slightly chilly Sydney afternoon. It's welcome to those who are overseas and for our regular viewers and those watching on replay as well. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button and ding that bell. I'm looking for those 100 subscribers. I'm at 99 just now. If I get 100, I can rename the channel. It'll be fantastic. So ding that bell to get my latest video updates. And while you're around, drop a note in the comments. Let me know who you are and where you're watching from. We're going to do questions as well during this. If you've got any questions, then drop a question in the comments. If you can use the hashtag ask at the beginning, that'll be great. That'll enable me to scroll through all those questions and get them really, really easily. And so we've got a few people coming online just now. We've got D_123. Howdy to you as well. Gene from the Central Coast, Mr. Meowpoos as well is logging in. Bruce as well from Gosford, and Liz from the Central Coast. So thank you guys for joining in. These are some of our regular WPQuickies viewers. Anna is in Singapore. Oh, Anne is in Singapore. Oh, he just described. Awesome. Thank you. I'm at 100 now. Thank you, D123. That's super. I'm going to rename that as soon as we get this broadcast over. And he's from the Pacific Coast in the US. So we do welcome our overseas viewers. It's great that you can spend the time to join in and get some of these little tips for WordPress. So my goal is to try and educate people in how to use WordPress better for their business. Make more money, enhance your hobby, get your shop up and running. All these little bits help to make WordPress more efficient and your business run better. Okay, let's get on with it today. Try and make a quickie. Let's make that one a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, so what is Stripe? Some of you might not have heard of Stripe, so let's get a little bit of background. Stripe is a popular payment gateway that can take online card payments directly from within your WooCommerce WordPress store. So Stripe doesn't charge a monthly or yearly fee for its service. It takes money as per transaction. So it's the same model as the PayPal standard. Now, PayPal, which comes with WooCommerce natively, it can also take card payments, but that happens outside your WordPress site on PayPal.com for the free version anyway, PayPal standard. Or you can embed it into your website, but you're starting to use some of the PayPal paid subscriptions. You have to pay a monthly or yearly subscription to use that sort of process. So Stripe, it also makes recurring billing very, very easy. Recurring payments in PayPal is not so easy to set up and manage. So Stripe is definitely a preferred method of doing that. Stripe, it also offers a chargeback and fraud protection, which PayPal standard does not. So many people choose Stripe to handle their online card payments because it's a free service. The Stripe payment gateway, it's not bundled as part of the WooCommerce core app, but it is a separate plugin, but it's free, which is fantastic. So once you've installed WooCommerce, make sure that you install the Stripe plugin if you're looking to take card payments on your system. A few other people checking in here. We've got 7 Circle Designs back from Dallas, Texas. Awesome. And Joey J in Singapore as well. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us. So we're doing the Stripe transactions and metadata today. It'll all become clear soon. So Stripe payouts. So how does Stripe pay you? So if you're starting to use your Stripe to take online card payments, that's great. How does that money get into your bank? Well, Stripe bundles incoming transaction together into what they call a payout. And that payout is transferred to your linked bank account or debit card, but it's usually a linked bank account. Now, payouts can vary depending on your country and the risk. Not payouts, I should say. The timing of payouts can vary depending on your country and the risk factor that Stripe associates or determines that your business is operating in. So for full details as to when payments or payouts happen, click that link that I've just dropped in the note there. It'll tell you different countries, different risk involved, things like that. But in general, payouts are delivered into your bank account between 2 and 7 days. But it does do this kind of bundling together. So multiple transactions, it bundles together and you get this one big payment payout that comes into your bank transaction. Now, this can cause a problem. I know because I've been using Stripe for 5 or 6 years now. Because Stripe bundles multiple transactions in together, they're all lumped in this single payout. This can make it very, very challenging to reconcile your invoices in your accounting system. So especially if you have a large number of low-cost transactions. So with low-cost transactions, you usually get more of them spinning through your website. So if you do have a lot of low-cost transactions, Stripe's going to be bundling all those together and paying those out. So if you've got 100 transactions a day, then you're going to have like 300 transactions bundled in over a 2 or 3 day period when that payout comes. And that's just going to cause a real issue if you need to reconcile those individually in your accounts system. So really, you have to log into Stripe. You're going to have to try and identify all these individual transactions and match them up to your accounting system. Now, the default Stripe transaction, it records some data. It records things like date, price, website URL that it's coming from. So that's your WooCommerce shop. And email address of the customer. So it can be a little bit of a challenge to reconcile transactions in your accounting system, especially if people are using like a general emails or like a general company email, and like info at or hello at, and all these transactions are coming from the same company or same institution. By default, if you've got WooCommerce, a little bit better. It does add the product short description and the order ID, which could be helpful, but we can do better than that. So let's have a quick look at some default Stripe transactions. I'm going to make this full screen just so you can see that a little bit better. So here is the default Stripe transaction, and this is for a WooCommerce order. So the transaction has a payment detail section where we can see the WooCommerce short description and the order number. Now, I have blurred out some, and these are actual transactions. I have blurred out some of the personal details for those. So this section here contains the customer name, the customer email, the WooCommerce order ID. We're talking about the metadata here. So scrolling down the metadata, it's just a little bit further down. This contains the customer name, the customer email, the WooCommerce order ID, and the website URL that it's coming from. Now, having the order ID is helpful, and we can log into our WooCommerce store to see exactly what has been purchased. And this works okay for single purchases, but what happens if the customer has purchased many items and you need to reconcile each item separately in your accounting software? That becomes a bit of a nightmare. It's going to take you a lot of time going backwards and forwards between Stripe and WooCommerce. So an easier way is to add more data to the metadata section of the Stripe transaction from WooCommerce, and that's what I'm going to be showing you how to do that today. So let's look at another Stripe transaction. So this is another Stripe transaction after the code has been added. So we can see here it's the same metadata section on the Stripe transaction, but this is a separate order ID. You can see as well it's got the customer name, the customer email, the order ID, and the site URL. But now we have 3 additional items here. We have customer name. Now that could be a duplication of the existing customer name, but you can format that anyway. So you might have their full customer name, first name, middle name, last name, or just however your accounts are displaying those. It could be like last name first, first name last, that's that way. Customer phone, if you capture that information on your WooCommerce checkout, you can have the phone information there, which can be quite handy just to give them a quick call just to confirm what they're buying or what they did buy for the purchase. And then underneath that, we've got line items. So this is where it becomes really handy when you're reconciling your information. So you got that data from WooCommerce directly into your Stripe transaction. So you don't have to flick in between WooCommerce and Stripe and try and work out who purchased what. It's coming directly into Stripe. So this line item here, there's just one line item because there was just one item purchase. But if you've got 10 items, 20 items from that WooCommerce purchase, then they're all going to be listed under each other in this Stripe metadata. So you can easily figure out what they've purchased, what the total amounts are, how many quantities. So you can then go into your accounting system and reconcile that at the back end with just using Stripe and not having Stripe and WooCommerce in your accounting system open all at the same time. Okay, let's have a look at the code. Now, I know that might be a little bit difficult to see on the screen. What I'm going to do is I'll copy this. So I have a link to that code, and it's in GIST in GitHub there. So you'll be able to see it clearly if you click on that link and open it up in another browser. It is a little bit faint on the screen, so sorry about that. Basically, it's one function, which is called by a filter. Down the very bottom, the last line is the filter. And we're calling something called WC underscore Stripe underscore payment underscore metadata. That's the WooCommerce Stripe plugin filter that we're using. And that filter gives us access to the metadata part of Stripe. It gives us access to the order object as well. And it gives us access to the source. And the source is the bundle of data that is eventually sent to Stripe, so it can work out all the purchase details. So basically, what we're doing here is this code. It's this code you'd add simply into your themes functions.php file. In this code, at the very top, I know it's really dark, so hopefully you can follow along on the GIST there. In this code, at the very top, we get the order data object, and we extract from that the billing company name if it exists. So that's one. If it's not empty, we get the billing company address from that, as well as the customer name and the phone number, and all those extra bits like sanitized text fields. Just making sure that we get the proper format of that data. We don't want any SQL or hidden characters or stuff in there. So that's the first bit there. We get 3 items. We get the billing company name, we get the customer name, and we get the customer phone number there if it exists in there. So for the customer name, so that's the bit of meta that was on the previous one down here, customer name, the third from the bottom. So you can format that anyway. So if your accounting system does surname first, then you can format that surname first and for that, just to make it easy for you to reconcile those. So the next bit of code, the one that says list products purchased, it loops through all the order line items from your WooCommerce order. It concatenates the line item number, the product name, the quantity, and the line item total into a single line, and then it adds it to the metadata string, and that returns that to Stripe. So I know it's a big bit of code up there, and it might be a little bit scary to some of you. But hopefully you'll be able to follow along that bit of code that does the line items. You can just copy that into your function. That'll work as is. The little bit of at the top, that's kind of standard WooCommerce stuff. So we're talking about the company name, the customer name, and the customer phone. That's standard WooCommerce things. Now that's great, and that will give you those 3 lines at the end of your Stripe metadata, and that could help you an awful lot in your reconciling of your account system. But we can do more. So let's just have a look at this. I've got an example of some of the customer and order data that you can get from WooCommerce. Now I'm going to copy another link and paste this down. This is a separate GIST code from GitHub, and it details more than I've got on the screen here. On the screen here is just some examples of other bits of data that you can get from within that function, from that order bundle of data. So when you're calling that filter, the WooCommerce is going to pass that filter the WooCommerce order object, and that contains a whole heap of extra information that you don't get just from this screen here and from the code. Eva asks, which language was that? That was PHP, Eva. So this code here is PHP code, and that's the code that you put in your functions your themes functions.php file. So if you copied that directly into your themes functions.php file at the bottom somewhere, and then just paste that, then you'll get these 3 bits of data at the bottom: customer name, customer phone, line item 1. But we're looking at extending that. So here's some extra stuff that you can get from WooCommerce, that data object, that might help you get that, put those information into Stripe, so you can help you reconcile that. So things like general order details. So we can get the order ID, the parent ID, status, the currency type, the version, payment methods as well. We can get things like the money, like the tax, the customer ID as well, shippings, and we can get customer information as well. I've not got that on screen, but that's all in the billing and the shipping information as well. Peter asks, can you get the SKU and the amount ordered? Absolutely, absolutely. You can get that. So that's all within the order object. So if you've got an SKU set up, that will be in this, what they call a WooCommerce order object, and you'll be able to extract that. So if you want to have a look and see what data you can get out, you can go to this link here. So this is the documentation about WooCommerce, and specifically the WooCommerce order class, which has got all the information that you need to extract all that juicy stuff out there. Now, I'll make all these links available at the end of the talk. I'll post them in the comments underneath the Facebook and YouTube video. So you'll be able to get all those links there and have a look through. But this is really a little bit of an experiment. So this code here sets up the core function. So keep the function, keep the filter, and then the code in between. You can change that, and you can use these data objects here to extract things like ID, parent underscore ID, status, SKU, shipping information, billing information, all that sort of stuff that's contained within that WooCommerce order object, and you can extract and you can send that directly into Stripe during that transaction. Peter's asking, where are you sending the data? Should I export to CSV? Nope. So this is all within WooCommerce and within the Stripe plugin. So what we're doing is this code here. That's a great question, Peter. This code here, the very bottom line, I'll make it a little bit bigger. I'll get rid of your question there. At the bottom, the very last line, it says add filter. And then this filter name, WC underscore Stripe underscore payment underscore metadata. What that's doing is it's passing this function. It's telling it to run this function every time that WooCommerce sends a bundle of information to Stripe. So that's the order. So once the order has been processed in WooCommerce, the person's put in their payments and clicked on checkout. WooCommerce sends that bundle of information, order information, the checkout information, the payment information to Stripe for processing. So in between that process, before WooCommerce sends it to Stripe, we are intercepting that order data, and we're playing around with it, and we're adding the data to Stripe that it sends to Stripe before it gets to Stripe. So WooCommerce, we're playing around with it, we're filtering the data, we're adding stuff onto that little bundle of data, and we're adding some meta information in, and then the WooCommerce plugin will pass that to Stripe. So there's no CSV involved at all. It's just data that we're putting in. We're kind of hammering that information in at the PHP level, and then the WooCommerce plugin will pass that to Stripe, and that's where it'll pick up the data from. Awesome. Let's see. Anne asks, any modification needed with webhook endpoint in Stripe? No, this is all done. It's not using webhooks. It's all done using PHP and filters. So these are filters that are supplied by the WooCommerce Stripe plugin for that. So you can have a look at the documentation for them on the web as well, and it'll tell you all the different filters. But this specific filter allows you to add the data to the Stripe metadata bundle of data that's sent to Stripe for payment processing. So hopefully that'll help you a little bit in your Stripe reconciliations in your accounting software. If you are not a developer, you don't have to worry about too much. It's basically cut and paste, and then you can play around with the different fields. For developers as well, it could give them a little bit of enhancement. So you might want to add this to your WooCommerce themes. If you've got clients, if you build this to clients, maybe add it on as an additional service, an additional paid service for your clients. So a little extra value add, a little bit extra money in your pocket if you're a WooCommerce theme developer or plugin developer for those. So thank you so much for your comments. I think we'll do a wrap up for today. It was a little bit more techie focused than I normally do. And I want to keep this quick and short. So if you've got any additional questions, you can just hit me up, connect with me on LinkedIn and ask me about some extra stuff. If you've got some questions or if you're getting into a little bit of trouble understanding what those concepts are, I'm happy to help after the show. Next week. So next week, a little bit exciting. I've been looking forward to doing this. I've been planning this for a little bit. So I'm going to be showing you how to send notifications from WordPress to your Amazon Echo using webhooks. So Alexa, play my notifications, and it'll tell you some stuff. Specifically, I'm going to be looking at Gravity Forms and the webhooks plugin. So Gravity Forms submissions. So when somebody fills out a Gravity form on your website, it can send a notification to Amazon Alexa, and it'll play it out. And also WooCommerce, so order placements as well. So when somebody places an order on your website, it could send that notification to Amazon, and then you come in and your little Amazon's got the little yellow flashy thing. You just say, Alexa, play my notifications, and it can tell you all the orders that your WooCommerce website has received. So yeah, I think that'll be a juicy one. Peter, yes, it does sound awesome. So I've been testing it out with the last couple of weeks, and it's pretty cool. So that's next week. Using webhooks, send information from WordPress to your Amazon Echo. As always, I am looking for suggestions for topics. I've lined up, you might have seen a few meetup notifications out today. I've just been piling a few extra ones for the next couple of few weeks, but I'm always looking for topics. Again, this is all about you guys and what you find useful. So please send me some topics that I can do within like 30 minutes. So just short topics that I can cover. Again, a little shout out for WP Australia. If you're looking to find out which meetups are on physically and online, go to wpaustralia.org and click on the Find a Meetup button, and it'll tell you all those meetups that are in Australia. You can also join us on Slack as well. As a button there, it tells you the process for joining us on Slack for free. Slack is like our online community channel. You can ask questions, get to know people as well, post some tips, or just ask questions on issues or anything at all. Just chat to us there. The WP Australia community kind of hangs out on there because we can't hang out in pubs just now. Well, I guess we can soon, but we're all online. A little bit of shout out for one of my little products that I released recently. It's called the Website Owner Survival Guide. So if you're a developer or designer who creates or maintains client websites, I've got like an ultimate website owner survival guide, and it's going to help you add as well to your bottom line. So you can go and visit that. It's at wasg.com.au and have a look and see what that's got to offer for yourself. So just a quick shout out for that. I'm very happy to connect with you. I'm mostly on LinkedIn, so you can find me as Developer Will on LinkedIn. I do sometimes post on Instagram on willbrown_au, and sometimes, maybe-ish, rarely, on Twitter at Developer Will as well. So yeah, happy to connect with me on those. Ask me some questions if you've got any issues with today's stuff, or if you want to just have a chat. Yeah, it'll be great. So thank you very much, guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the questions as well. I'm always happy to do questions. And I will see you next week, and looking forward to the Amazon Alexa notifications. Okay. Thank you, guys, and take care. See you next week.